Hello, yeah. So I wanted to do a quick video now. This isn't something around my usual thing, but sort of linked to the mental health one that I put out. And to be honest with you, my mental health has took a turn for the worse the last couple of days, and it's because of a TV show that I've been watching, which has opened up an old wound. But the reason I wanted to do the video is because it's going to give me the opportunity to talk about someone, a very, very dear friend of mine from back in the day, from back in my military, my RAF days. So basically there's a show that I'm watching at the moment. Now, I don't want to name the show or any characters because I don't want to, provide any spoilers, because unfortunately this was a spoiler that I stumbled across, and the show is basically going to kill off one of my favourite characters. And I'm only a few episodes away from it happening as it goes. And it's basically reminded me of a situation of a friend of mine. So if you can imagine, just say somebody has to die. You're watching a TV show and somebody is going to die, and you're looking at all of the characters. You're like, you don't want any of them to die, because on the best shows you like all the characters, or you like the majority of the characters, and you're thinking to yourself, who's the one who I'd least want it to happen to? Who's the one that's going to be a bit more heartbreaking to see it happen to? Unfortunately, it's that exact character. So that's opened up an old wound because of an old friend of mine. So his name was Kevin Trotter. He was from Glasgow, and me and him went through basic and trade training together. Although we weren't the exact same trade, we were of the electrical trades, the electrical aircraft trades. I was an electrical technician, he was an avionics technician. But we basically, we were on the same part of camp. We went through basic together. When he left training, because he got out before me, I went to go and see him in Scotland, because he was based at RAF Lucas up near Dundee. I went to go and see him up there. But back then, we're talking like the early noughties now, and we're talking a time before Facebook and emails even, your phone, all you had was you'd ring someone or you'd text someone, and that was pretty much it. You might take a picture and be able to send it to someone, but it would cost you a bloody fortune to do so. We didn't really do it. So you didn't have any sharing apps or anything. You didn't have like a WhatsApp or anything like that. You didn't even have Facebook then. I don't even think MySpace was out then, and that was one of the first ones, and Bebo was one of the first ones. I don't think any of them were even out. So he was up in Scotland, I was at Lyneham in Wiltshire, and there was a point in the December, and I believe this was around 2006 now, a point in the December where the RAF, sort of introduced an internal emailing system, and I emailed a mate of mine who I knew was at RAF Lucas. His name was Daz, and I said to him, do you hear from Kev much? I know he's on the same camp as you. Because obviously Daz knew him as well. I haven't heard from him in months, and the last I knew was he was getting married in the January, and I'd been wanting to phone him to congratulate him. I couldn't make the wedding; they had it over in the Dominican Republic, and like I said, for months I couldn't get hold of him. I don't know if whether he changed his number and lost my number. So back then you'd lose someone if that happened. So I asked Daz, and he's like, "Oh mate, you obviously haven't heard. Kev passed away back in March in a car accident." Obviously that rocked me, and so I looked online. Back then Google was one of the only things that you had on the internet. Then Google was there, so I googled his name, RAF. And I found the news article. I phoned RAF Lucas and I spoke to some of the people that was on his shift, and they told me a little bit about the life he was having up there. So as I said, he got married. Him and his wife had just bought a house together, just got a mortgage, literally weeks before his death. And literally weeks before his death as well, they found out that she was pregnant and he was going to have a little girl. Well, we didn't know he was going to have a little girl until later down the line. And obviously she found out the sex. And so it was quite similarly with the character in the TV show that's reminded me of this. Say he had a lot going for him at the time. He had his RAF career. He had his wife, his house, a child on the way, and it was an accident. And and he died, and like I say, it absolutely rocked me at the time. And I haven't had the chance to talk about him all that much. Only people who knew him, I've spoken about to him. And he was just one of those, enjoyed life. He always lived. He knew how to live. No, he wasn't like he wasn't a drunk or a degenerate or anything like that. He was a really good guy. Really funny, really friendly. Which is why I took to him so well. And yeah, so this has just come to my mind, and I just felt, look, I need to talk about it because I haven't really had much of the chance, or I haven't taken much of a chance to really talk about him in any real length, and I've just seen this opportunity, like I said, this is, this TV show thing is just so familiar to me, and Kev, I miss Kev all the time. I think about him. I always think about him still. When we're talking, we're coming up to not far off 20 years since. That's scary, isn't it? In 2024, this happened in 2006, 18 years ago. One thing I've always been meaning to do is try and find, one thing I've tried to do, and I have tried to do, is actually contact Kev's family, but I haven't been able to get in contact with them. I'd really like to know where he's buried, because if I ever get the chance to go to Scotland again, I'd like to go and pay my respects to him, because he was a very good friend of mine. I actually met his family once. Like I said, I went to Scotland to go and see him, and I actually met his family, his brother and his dad and his mum, really lovely people. And it's just been nice to talk to them again and share some memories, because I've got some great memories with Kev. And if you're watching this and you've watched it right the way through, and I really appreciate you taking the time to listen, because like I said, Kevin meant a lot to me, meant a lot to a lot of people, and I know he's still missed to this day by everybody, and whose life he managed to touch. I met some of the best people in the RAF. I met some of the worst people in the RAF, but Kev was one of my best mates that I ever had, and I just appreciate the fact that a platform like TikTok has got the opportunity, or YouTube has got the opportunity to just allow me to talk about it and allow people to listen and understand, and get to know that Kev existed. So yeah, there we go. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody, and until the next time.